Hey guys, Herman from Alpha One here. Wanted to talk about subguns. All right, so I love submachine guns, subguns, pistol caliber carbines, whatever you want to call them. The only one that I own these days is this Chris Vector SBR. It's a Gen 1 clone. It's basically based on the newest generation of the Chris Vector, but with the receiver that accepts the original type of stock that I always loved. And I'm a sucker for subguns. I've always loved them. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s like I did and watching action movies and all that kind of stuff and playing video games, then you probably love the MP5s and the HK UMP 45s and all those really cool platforms. And so I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts as to kind of what the role is for subguns, and are they really useful? Should you own one? Should you not own one? Let's address that first, because that's easy. Should you own one? Yes. If you want one, you absolutely should. You should own anything that you want, because I own this guy because it excites me. I love it, and it's kind of like more of a collector thing for me. But I also want you to understand that the role of the actual subguns and pistol caliber carbines has been very limited, especially recently, because of all of the lessons that we've learned over the decades from different theaters of war, a lot of domestic stuff with SWAT, and a lot of the things that we've been able to acquire in terms of knowledge and experience, and realize that at the end of the day, no matter how good of a platform a particular subgun is, like something as classic as an MP5, an HK MP5, you're still dealing with a pistol caliber. Pistol calibers are very underpowered, and so you've seen over the last couple decades, most departments domestically and even the military kind of go away from submachine guns and instead stick with their traditional platform, their M4 or their AR-15, and just with shorter barrels. So obviously there was a need with a much more CQB and urban type of fighting that they were facing, to get something that was smaller and lighter, more nimble. And so that's why initially they came up with the submachine guns, the modern versions of the submachine guns, because back then they had these huge hulking battle rifles, these huge 7.62 by NATO rifles that were long, they were big, they were super heavy, the ammo was heavy. So for more up close and personal tight quarters, they basically went back to the submachine gun platform. Now again, basically they ended up realizing that the submachine gun is basically just a pistol, right? It's shooting 9mm or whatever it is, 45 ACP, whatever. They're vastly underpowered compared to full rifle calibers or even intermediate calibers like the 5.56. So what's the role for them? Are they any good? Are they good for anything? Well, now, like I said, they're very, very limited in what they're actually useful for. So if you are obviously in a battlefield, it's not something that they want to use anymore, and that's completely understandable. But even domestically, right, when you're talking about personal protection details, people that are working in and out of vehicles quite a bit, where they do need a very compact setup, they might still be very useful. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, for almost anything else, I would rather just have my 5.56. My go-to rifle is a 10.5-inch 5.56. I've shown it to you before with a pinned and welded suppressor on it, and that's my go-to. I mean, this thing is, especially when I put my suppressor on it, that's usually on it, this rugged Obsidian 9. This is not much, and especially with a full mag, this is not much lighter than my go-to rifle. So I'm probably just going to grab my AR anyway. So, I mean, that's not to say, again, if you want one, I would love to own a B&T sub gun. They're awesome. If you want to use an AR-15 9mm version to train with, all that stuff, that's perfectly allowable. I totally see it. There is value in that. But just understand what the limitations are and kind of what the proper role is. Okay, there are some other options, which is you can bridge the gap by, instead of buying a subgun in 9mm, if they offer it in 10 mil, just go with that. You're going to have much better terminal ballistics with a 10mm cartridge than with 9mm or even 45 ACP. And other options that have been coming out in the last few years have been these conversion kits, these pistol conversions or chassis, whatever you want to call it, such as this one. I also have This one from Strike Industries, some really cool options to, instead of going with a full-on, completely new subgun, you can turn one of your existing pistols into one, or sort of one, and that's pretty cool. So I'm going to have a separate episode that I'm going to dedicate strictly to going over those two things that I just showed you. So stick around, and I'll see you next time.